Like we have seen appeal. She didn't go for coffee, she didn't go for fruits, she went for sheep. I didn't even know about sheep myself.
Also tonight, Uganda allocates 1,200 acres in Kayunga for new industrial city. Kayunga Industrial Park project targets 50,000 jobs.
Paul Zhang, the proprietor of Mbale Industrial Park, the gentleman who has created 25,000 jobs. Manufacturing of mobile phones, that make reference to Mr. Paul Zhang. When you talk about manufacturing of butaimbas, when you are talking about Unisteel, that you talk about Mr. Paul Zhang.
And in international news, southern Lebanon residents return home to devastation after ceasefire.
Brought to you by
Centenary Publishing House, the leading publishers of prayer and hymn books since 1977. Among them we have Ateso, Luo, Runyankole Ruchiga, Runyoro Toro, and many other Ugandan languages. Contact us on 0756 174 168 for more information.
Once again, thank you so much for joining us on News at 8. And starting us off this evening, President Yoweri Museveni has announced a new government initiative to distribute free coffee seedlings and fruit planting materials across Uganda in a bid to boost household incomes through agriculture. The announcement was made during a victory and Thanksgiving celebration in Ilango sub-region following the 2026 general election. Our reporter Julius Muhumza was in Ilango and we did take a look at what he compiled.
The president made the announcement during a Thanksgiving and victory celebration held in Ilango sub-region following his win in the 2026 presidential elections. The event, held at Ilango College Grounds in Lira City, attracted a large crowd of supporters and leaders. The president was received by the key government officials, including the NRM Vice Chairperson for Northern Uganda and the government chief whip, Honorable Samson Oboa, the Minister of Health, Dr. John Luther Cheng, the Minister of State for Youth and Children Affairs, Honorable Marugahara, and the Minister of State for Northern Uganda, Dr. Kenneth Omona, and Ambassador Joseph Ochwet, Director General of the External Security Organization.
A sub-region that set the bar, standard and tone for the 2026 presidential campaign mobilization. A sub-region that made a promise, kept the promise, and fulfilled the promise. A sub-region that distinguished itself as the best performing sub-region in Northern Uganda with 538,044 votes, accounting for 84.48%.
In his address, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni announced a new government program aimed at increasing household incomes through the distribution of free coffee seedlings and fruit planting materials to Ugandans.
Now, while we maintain PDM and Myoga, I want to also start a fresh program of giving free seedlings of coffee and fruits.
Kunuti umedekere meyo kiente me PDM keredang kiente me Myoga. Do hatio medemeti muginu kena piratek man meyo kori me muony nono bodjo babu chingwa go uni jira yeba.
Our people who get the 1 million may decide to do other things like we have seen appeal. She didn't go for coffee, she didn't go for fruits, she went for sheep. I didn't even know about sheep myself.
Yo kene tuero nungu chiente bara min wa piucha nueno nu chiente ekate tamonie wore ti kere biachare jamu kene ente bala en apore te wore welo romi anang regira mo mangeo ko me romi etuena neno don kitama piucha ti ukerikia.
He further disclosed that his land in Baradeji, Kwanga sub-county in Otuke district will be used to produce quite seeds that will be distributed to citizens across the country.
I'm going to use my land in Baradegi to produce coffee seedlings and fruit seedlings to give out.
Ana binuti kere lobu na menenone umeo Kori me muony umiu romo ching jo dushu me we jo dushu pur muony.
I've already developed seed beds in other areas. I've already developed seed beds in other areas.
The president revealed that a new program will complement existing initiatives such as the Parish Movement Model and Emyoga with a focus on long-term income generation through agriculture. President Museveni also emphasized the need to increase funding for the Parish Movement Model at the parish level to ensure greater impact on household incomes.
And in the next 5 years, we are going to put another 800 million.
Nang dahi muako kena metia binu ni, muako bicha mea binu ni, wanda nuda hoketu dok kiento kene I parish a chiel around million mia beach.
Even if we don't increase the amount per year. Even if we didn't increase the amount per year.
Nuonyurni kiento meratia woti mede muaha.
But I intend to increase it. This year we couldn't increase it because of AFCON, but next year we shall increase this money.
Muahanien karo kene medo pe bere yot pikop metu kudilo metia binu ni. Ero muaha binu kia wana binu na ni kiente no mede.
So therefore, instead of talking about many things, let's make sure all the homes in the parish are covered.
Donc pimano kaka loko kene apola. Nenu ni teko wa dushu menenu ni kop me PDM uloho wek lim rompachi dushu ameti parishes wa.
That is at the parish level.
Mano irwam me parish.
But then you have the Emyoga at the constituency level.
Eka utie kereno kena me uluoni imiyoga amenuti ya duola chiel.
Speaking on behalf of the people of Rango, the Minister of Health congratulated the President upon his victory, noting that Ira City and the wider Rango sub-region recorded over 80% voter support for the NRM party.
Votes in an urban area is extremely difficult because it has a mixture of parties and interests. However, in Lira City, out of the 62,631 votes cast, Your Excellency received 50,458, representing 80.4%, above even your own city, Your Excellency, because your city, Mbarara City, voted 79%. You can see that the entire Lango showed you great love. All the districts in Lango voted over 80%.
Now, the government of Uganda has allocated 1,200 acres of land in Kayunga district for the development of a major industrial park aimed at boosting manufacturing, stability in power supply, and creating jobs. The project, led by Chinese investor Paul Zhang, is expected to generate up to 50,000 employment opportunities with a strong focus on solar energy and off-grid electrification to expand access to power in rural communities. Our reporter Emmanuel Alingai has more to this report.
Addressing the press at the Ministry of Finance in Kampala, the Minister of State for Privatization and Investment, Honorable Evelyn Anite, revealed that the land near the hydropower station in Kayunga district will host a major industry city to be developed by Chinese investor Paul Zihang and his partners.
1,200 acres of land in Kayunga near the hydro power station for an industrial zone. I'm going to start with him and Mr. Paul himself partnering with these investors in the solar power generation, chemical manufacturing plant, real estate, and Mr. Paul Zhang wants to build an industrial city which is going to create 50,000 jobs.
The minister praised Paul Zihang, proprietor of Mbale Industrial Park, crediting him with creating over 25,000 jobs through manufacturing of mobile phones, steel products, vehicles, mattresses, and TV sets.
Mr. Paul Zhang, the proprietor of Mbale Industrial Park, the gentleman who has created 25,000 jobs. Manufacturing of mobile phones, that make reference to Mr. Paul Zhang. When you talk about manufacturing of butaimbwas, when you are talking about Unisteel, that you talk about Mr. Paul Zhang. Manufacturing or assembling of vehicles, you're talking about Mr. Paul Zhang. Mattresses, you're talking about Mr. Paul Zhang. When you're talking about manufacturing of television sets, you're talking about Mr. Paul Zhang. When you talk about manufacturing of anything you mention that is home use or for our country's consumption, you are talking about Mr. Paul Zhang, the gentleman we call Mugaga Paul. He's done a commendable job for our country.
The Kayunga project is expected to focus on solar power generation, chemical manufacturing, and real estate development, with plans to establish a fully fledged industry city projected to create up to 50,000 jobs.
And they're not only coming to invest so as to grow their money, but they're coming to invest in Uganda's economy to create jobs for our citizens. My plea to the fellow citizens is, let us support these investors for the growth of our economy, for us to grow our GDP to $500 billion, for us to grow the unemployment, kick unemployment out of our country, for us to grow the employment levels so that we have jobs for our citizens.
Investors say their first priority will be to stabilize electricity for national use by ensuring reliable and safe power supply for large industries.
We can provide safety and stable solution for largest industries. And it's going to be very stable by the battery restoration.
3的一个呢，就是我们部长刚才提到了，在岛上，就是
Around islands, solar plus battery restoration will be the best plan for them to use. And also solve power solution for the rural area and the poor villages where they don't have power. We can provide solution of door to door or a small station for the village.
Oh, that's very good.
Honorable Anite called on Ugandans to support foreign investors, saying such partnerships are vital for employment creation and for driving Uganda's economy towards the $500 billion GDP target.
I want to ask all the citizens of this country to support Mr. Paul Zhang and all our investors who come to invest and choose Uganda as their investment destination.
Manuel Alengai for Church of Uganda Family TV, News at 8.
Thank you, Emmanuel Alingai, for that business report. And moving on, police in Kamonkoli sub-county in Budaka district have recovered stolen livestock, including 2 bulls and meats from 4 slaughtered cows, in a case that underscores growing concerns over cattle theft targeting farmers benefiting from the parish development model. The animals, valued at about 8 million shillings, were stolen during a raid and later traced to Mbale. Our reporter Julius Muhumza has followed this story, and suddenly we do take a look at what he has compiled.
Police in Kamonkoli sub-county of Budaka district have recovered stolen livestock, including 2 bulls and meat from 4 slaughtered cows. Animals are believed to have been stolen from Stephen Kwiri, a 46-year-old resident of Bunyoro B village in Bunyoro parish.
Bazivia kenti sente nafuna za parish modo nengula nange bade nesunga nta parish modo kubanga batandika okubaje ntundeke sasuleyo nekati zona mazozi sala kati sina kyaukola.
According to police, the stolen cattle are valued approximately 80 million shillings. The theft is reported to have occurred on the night of April 16, 2026, was recovered and made the following day. The victim, Stephen Kwiri, says the loss has left him in financial distress.
The government tuyambe ababe tuwe security batuwe security kato bagenda kumala ebyayo ente bagenda kutandika otuba n'otuta the general government esaleta ndiko otuwa security mwansi byalo etandika okuuma abantu gwe kyetaagisa.
Local leaders say that cattle safety has escalated in the area. The LC1 chairman of Bunyorubi village, Port Victor, has called on the government to take urgent action to protect farmers.
Ababbi basuse ebitundu kyange buli mwezi bali kutwalamu ente, mbuzi, nkoko, sekoko kale obubbi bususe saba gavumenti webanga waliwo security gesobola okuwa mu kyalo tambulengeko n'aba security ekoko obubbi bususe.
They warn that community safety threatens livelihoods and the success of government poverty alleviation efforts.
Okusinziira ku mbeera zino era zigenze mu maaso nga zikolebwa mu bifo okutandikira mu kibira kino nakiri naye kye tuba tukola ng'abatuuze b'okukaalo kyetaaga ne tukola security tulabike nti buli ekkubo erikola ki erijja mu bibira bino tukola security y'amaanyi nnyo tulabike nti tukwata ebintu bino tukwata abantu abakola ki abaleeta ebintu
byente zino okuva jami tugobereddeko ogenda okujja wano wetusangidde nga basalidde wano buli kintu kati ebigenda mu maaso byonna tetugenze ku poliisi naye nga tetulabyeko mu bino tulabyeko.
The Bukedi North Police spokesperson has confirmed that a cow and a bull were recovered arrived near River Namatara in a eucalyptus forest towards the industrial city in Mbale, while 4 slaughtered cattle and carcasses were recovered from the same area.
Wabaddewo obubbi bw'ente mu kiro ky'olunaku olukeeseza olwaleero mu kitundu ekimanyikiddwa nga Bunyoro B ekisangibwa mu Bunyoro Parish mu Kamonkoli sub-county nga bino bya reportingiddwa omwami amanyikiddwa nga Kwiri Stephen ow'emyaka 46 era nga mutuuze wa kitundu kino nga yabadde nannyini ente zino ng'agamba nti ente zino zabbiddwa abantu abataategerekese mu kiro ekikeeseza olunaku olwaleero weyazuukuse n'alaba nga ente ze teziriiwo 6 wabula ente zino ezimu zisangibwa mu kabira akamanyikiddwa nga Namataala River akasangibwa kumpi ne industrial area nga kali ku border ye Mbale City ne Kamonkoli Town Council nga ente endala 4 zamaze okusalibwa wabula nga 2 zo tezinnaba kusalibwa. Poliisi tennaba kukwatawo omuntu yenna mu kikolwa kino wabula nga okunoonyereza kukyagenda mu maaso ku nsonga zino tujja kuba twongera okubategeeza. Nsigadde nze Kyempasa Wilfred ayogerera poliisi mu bitundu by'e Bukedi North.
Suspects behind the theft and slaughter remain unknown. Investigations are ongoing as police intensify efforts to track down the suspects behind the safety.
Now, because we are the Church of Uganda Family TV, with us is a very courtesy of listening to the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda with our spiritual nourishment, and it's about that time that we do get into the Archbishop's moment.
Archbishop's Moment, sponsored by Uganda Christian University, a center of excellence in the heart of Africa. Join the UCU experience now. And
St. John's Wakiso Secondary School, where faith meets education.
But let me tell you, when I accepted Jesus Christ, that is where the difference came. And I've discovered God has a tendency of picking a nobody to become somebody in front of everybody without consulting anybody. Hallelujah. And now, somebody who didn't have a very good background, God has elevated me from nowhere to somewhere, from nobody to somebody, from nothing to something, from grass to grace, from labor to favor, from a mess to a message, from a test to a testimony. This is what God is doing. When you accept Him, He makes a way where it is not. And now when the Lord started elevating me, I went back to Nyenga, to Grandma, to see my parents, or the stepmothers invited the whole village. Banange mujemulabe mutabani waffe Kazimbono gwe muwulira. Atera okwogera ne ku radio. Let me tell you, when you are successful, you cannot be an orphan. When you are a failure, you will be an orphan. Ensure you are successful. Success comes from knowing Jesus as your personal savior. It's not about knowing chemistry, biology. No, science, no. It's about Jesus, and the other things will be added unto you. The rest will be added unto you.
Archbishop's Moment. Sponsored by Uganda Christian University, a center of excellence in the heart of Africa. Join the UCU experience now. And
St. John's Wakiso Secondary School, where faith meets education.
The Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, the Most Reverend Dr. Samuel Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, reminding us to always have faith in the Christ and follow through on the journey of faith, because God at the end of the day is the one that lifts us from the smallest of levels to the highest of tables that we can get to in this life and beyond. And at this moment, News at 8 goes into a very, very short break, and we shall be right back. Kandabe, Kabale Kampala School Building, Kabale Kampala. Sorry, zari ziri boring zonna. Tibulaba zino ezibulayo natte. Kabale municipalities facing residential. Welcome back from that very short break. It is news at 8 here on Church of Uganda Family TV. My name is Philip Mulisa and I am with Winnie Buyinza Nakauchi for sign language interpretation. And starting us off in this second segment, Kabale municipality is facing rising tension as traders protest an eviction directive targeting street vendors and operators in unauthorized spaces, citing inadequate notice and lack of clear relocation alternatives. With the enforcement deadline drawing closer, affected traders, especially timber dealers and carpenters in Mwanjari, say the movers left uncertain about their livelihoods as many struggle to find suitable places to continue with their businesses. Our reporter Rita Nandera was in Kabale and we do take a look at her compilation.
With the decline fast approaching, vendors, particularly timber traders and carpenters in Mwanjari, say they are facing uncertain future as many have not secured alternative working areas.
Ekiraza kutuaffectinga mostire tukaba twashashireza rent kandi tushashura umwaka rent si already tubire twazishashire eco kiraza kube kizibu tituraze kubona n'umwanya guturakorero ushange okukira tu affectinge omuntu roni erimwe kushashugwa school fees ziryaho okuna nabagambire ngo we depend on just aharubaho ningashi aha kintu aha products zitu oshange tutine backup tutine ntete tutine mwani.
Some of the affected traders, including Ivan, Namara and Abel Bwembebezi, say the directive was introduced abruptly without adequate preparation, making it difficult for them to adjust. They warn that the eviction could leave many stranded.
Azuma nino busasi bingi reba mwenu bari kwenda kumushenya tinyine ho kuhinga tinyine kintu cyona niho ndi kurira niho ndi kureberera n'abana banje so atukubara abashenye tibari kwenda kunyerekana ho kuza
ati landlords ibani benda sente council nenda sente na yura nenda sente ati bijire batumakinga kugira ngo tubugemo tugende mwe ni cyo government kwera ene
batuwa mwana tumana twabitaha at least twayombeje ko kabatuye umwana ko kabyani byo kugira ngo bakushenga twibakuza kini kishato yambe
so bashanga mukabare ntalimo ndareba barabona maneza bazoreka 55
The traders are now appealing to the municipal authorities to extend the deadline and give them more time to recognize, while also calling on the government to provide a designated trading space.
Anshaba government etuyambe etuhereza umwanya go kugira ngo tushubulemo ibintu byitu yembaho ejyo kubija etuyambe kugira ngo turukubona abana twina abana abakwera school fees
anshaba government ninga bafata yakaba etuyambe etuhereze umwanya go gukoreramo ibyo bikaye ambaye abantu kubona ko akasete ko basa kwihisa
kandi baza kuturondera umwanya wo baguturondera bakatuhamya kutugazamo kandi tukagaruka tukombekamo ibiba umurya kakanya bwanya
kibana cy'inubwo natonda katika shashwe na roni y'abandi bari kunteresa mu burizoba inkakuremo no kumara wi
kandi barenda gufurira
kibana cyona kibira bucyatine kirimo bakastoma babuzagwa kujya buryo mwana aramango bari kumushenya wana ariko ndaratore habuze.
However, the Kabale municipality deputy town clerk Eric Sandy says the land has been secured in Bugo, Kabambo for the relocation, with plans underway to construct suitable structures for the traders.
Tuineho mwanya buri bugonji kakabano bamazire kugutayahira twareba abantu bari kubasa gukoreraho kugurizaho imbaho kwiyaho abari kubija noreba abari kubija bashimire kuba bine stores no kubija bakatamwe bitanda byabo enyigi byone konka umwanya wo kutamwe imbaho twamazire kureba kuri timu ya municipality na district kandi umwanya ni muhango nibazaho uyo mu mwanya kakabano ekitendererwa kitu no kugira ngo town ebonere town ebe clean.
Authorities remain that the eviction is aimed to improving sanitation, reduce congestion and restoring order in the town as part of a wider nationwide enforcement exercise.
Now from the capital, Kampala residents are being urged to follow procedures when acquiring building plans and to avoid brokers who often inflate costs. This came in a sensitization campaign by Kampala Capital City Authority Deputy Executive Director Mr. Benon Chigenyi, warning that dealing directly with the authority is cheaper and more efficient. The call comes as the new Building Control Amendment law takes effect, introducing strict penalties for illegal constructions. We do take a look at this report.
The Deputy Executive Director of KCCA, Benon Chigenyi, has cautioned state residents against relying on brokers to process building plans, noting that such individuals often charge excessive fees for services that are cheaper when accessed directly through official channels. Chigenyi made the remarks while launching a public sensitization campaign organized by KCCA at State Square in Kampala.
Answer naffe tujazibawa. Our Constitutional Square abamu bagaludde okubeeramuko.
The campaign aims to educate residents on how to legally obtain and use approved building plans. The newly amended law, the Building Control Amendment Act 2026, introduces strict penalties for illegal construction.
Simbi isasula oyo ayagala okufuna plani si nyingi nnyo. Giri mitwalo 10 gyokka oyagala okukola ki? Ayagala okuzimba enju ye y'okufulamu.
Anyone found constructing without approved plans risks a fine of 40,000 shillings per square meter. In more serious cases, offenders could face imprisonment of up to 5 years.
Commercial giri mitwalo 15 gyokka. Naye ate tukiwulira nti sente wanana zemusasula era zezibalemesa okujja okukuba plan zammwe ne musalawo muzimbe ekimpatiira ekireetwa ensobi. Tubakubiriza bannakampala muve ku babulooka abo abayimiriddewo wakati wammwe ne KCCA bantu babalemesa.
The development has prompted KCCA to intensify public awareness efforts. During the training, Chigenyi emphasized that residents should avoid brokers as they significantly increase costs. Chigenyi further clarified that KCCA does not deliberately delay approval of building plans, noting that the system has not been digitalized to improve efficiency and speed.
Edde nnyo kyali kyangu nnyo pulaani yo okugamba nti yebuze kubanga waleetanga pulaani ki mu ngalo n'ogiwa omuntu. Kaakano pulaani yo ogireeta n'ogiwa ng'ogitese ku mutimbagano eri soft copy. Bw'omala ogiteeka ku soft copy ne bakuweerawo reference. Eyo reference ekyenkana ye pulaani yo gyokoze ki gyoteeseeyo. Kijja kuba kizibu nnyo omuntu alina reference ogamba nti ate pulaani ye yabuze. Naye ate nakino kankyongere okukikkattiriza nti twali tulwawo naye kati tumala ennaku 3 twatuluddewo.
Meanwhile, KCCA Executive Director Hajat Sarifa Buzeki has called on the government to increase funding to support vocational training programs, especially for young girls.
Buli mwana muwala ekirooto kye kyakubeerako mu Kampala. Netubasaba wadde puroguramu eno ebadde ekomekerezeddwa olwaleero batwongere ssente tusobole okuba nga tukitwala mu maaso kuba abeetaavu tukyalina bangi.
She made the appeal during a graduation ceremony for students who have been undergoing hands-on skilling training at KCCA. Zeki noted that such programs are essential in empowering young people, particularly girls, to become self-reliant.
Galawo program etwateekawo okubanga tusitula embeera z'abaana abawala ng'ate era tukozesa bannaabwe okusobola okubazaamu amaanyi okusituka. Programu eno yatandika 2019.
Now, 2 children have died and several others are in critical condition after a classroom block at SDA Nasaran Primary School in Rukunjiri district collapsed while pupils were having lunch. Police have launched investigations into the cause of the collapse and indeed a search for the proprietors, the head teacher and the teachers of this institution. We take a look at this report. A midday tragedy struck Rukunjiri when a school building collapsed as pupils were having lunch, killing 1 child, Ashaba Princess instantly, and leaving another to succumb to injuries later in the hospital. The Rukungiri District Police Commander, Brian Amumpire, says officers responded swiftly to the scene following the collapse and have since confirmed the death of the two children.
Umuyaga ningugo kweta sandstorm gwatwara ikizimbe cy'abana icwere barumu andi abana batano ikizimbe cy'abagwerire abandi twabaruscuye konka on spot umwana umwe nani wafire mu myaka 12 bakumweta Ashaba Princess mwana w'umushya icyo nka polisi niswange in action kaburijo twigura aho iba kweta DEF Death Inquiry 5.
He noted that the building collapsed while only the children were inside and faulted the school administrators and owners for failing to be present at the time of the incident.
Observing the police umuyaga gweguru mwinjira gweguru mwinji kandi n'ikindi n'ushikizimbe nasho kishaka cyukuzire abana abo bagira ngo babiri bari barubunga.
The Rukungiri Resident District Commissioner, Bron Chikashemeza, confirmed receipt of the information, noting that 1 people died at the hospital while 3 others remain in critical condition.
SDA Nursery and Primary School ahikizimbe kigwire kandi kikongera kikatera abana bangambira abana batano kandi babiri omwafire nyomwe bazo ondishongo yafane bushesha hati kandi nabandi bashatu bacari ya bitanda bari kubimunonga. Icho kubanza nkase head of security office of the president Rukungiri district ni tushashi na abazire babana bo mostire abo kureba ngo ekigwerereze eco kibire kwabo kuba omwana nura munongo umwana ni murunje hamuzire so nitumanya ubwiro bo barimu kurekane tubagumya okugira ngo nikwe biri twikiririza ngo ruhangane watitaho kandi akatuye umunsi.
Chikashemeza added that investigations are underway, with initial findings indicating that the school may have been operating without authorization and that the collapsed structure was built using substandard materials that did not meet the required construction standards.
Ikora irigari emyaka 10 y'iryamara rijimazire yine nirikora irigari ikindi cyakashatu kunani nchondoza abinte bikwasikine na standardization bashoborera ngo tigine na qualified teachers abashomesa ni bakwata ngo ariho muzeyo muri qualified kandi nabwe he retired so cyanyereka kuza kutunga bizibe byo nebyo nabyo ni rigamboringa kandi ni operating illegally so ebizimbe kugwa the status of the buildings diso wanje agireyo nangwa nanye nyine niza kuzayo okwerebera konka reports nyine nitungo mu intelligence omu police yayi binene bangambira ngo even na nebizimbe byo wandi bikombekesebwe bitaka.
A local resident expressed confusion over what will follow the tragedy, urging authorities to carry out a fair and thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding the collapse.
Tureba kasorora kumuyaga mwinji kija karetwa omwanya ogwo ogwabo mu buzibu kija namane karuku yabure bintu nikabitwaro mu iguru ahiguru nabwanyuma mu kanya kace tuba turiyo turra abantu batere nduru ngo hagenda ishomero kandi ngo ishomero yatera abana
ani shakara ekaniseji deni umuyaga gwaba mwinji hariho n'injure ehikire kimwe nyinji munongo umuyaga kuba mwinji munonga nagambira abakozi banje tutemburukeyo tubande tuze kureka turinde umuyaga bade gutuze hadi gwiza kimwe guri makasorora kenje munonga kine kintu kiretorora kiti kakwatine hamwe karinga kirima konka karatumura bushintu cyonje cyashita kasigara mu mwanya zeni kwa ikamba kahamira hati cyamuhogweke kukama kuhamira hati cyamuhogweke nchikakura kakagumba kasoka katera mu cinde cyishomero bakakitera kikagwa
nato mchingwi hunga kurya barye atamana bija bankora dirama
ati kuba nkundanza ntinkenye ndebe ecombe ko higuru kiriyo nikigira ki amatafari nagagwa gahiguru muno ntimushohore ntimwirukange mugende mu rwo mugeti enje tatutera ati genda mbakora tire mukikaci sasi kurwo mu kiyungu shango mwana sitamu matafari batubona gamutwe cerire hati mwihamu hati kuba na musahara ari gate mwe namushuze na munyamisaka akanyasi. By
the time reporters left the school premises, the owner, head teacher and teaching staff were all missing, with their phones reportedly switched off and unreachable.
Just one wife, that you need the leadership skills of a general. Yes. To lead an army of one woman.
So we have to take a lot of pain, a lot of effort to teach children how to get along with one another.
Your raw material is money. Of course. But it is not your money.
It is not
That
yours.
is the biggest challenge. So if you do not fear God, you will end up misappropriating this money and taking it to be your own. Yet it is just what you're using to do the work that you're doing.
So ego is very dangerous to me, and we should avoid the extremes.
This program exists to equip, challenge, and empower men to expand their family leadership capacity for national transformation.
And from the international scene, with a ceasefire taking effect in Lebanon, displaced families are returning to heavily damaged towns like Nebatia, where homes, businesses and essential services have been devastated by the war. Residents face a mixture of relief and trauma as they begin to rebuild their lives, relying on aid for basic needs while confronting the scale of destruction left behind by the war. We do take a look at this.
Securely strapped to the roofs of cars, signs of victory waved from the windows. Processions of returning residents are making their way towards the towns in the south following the ceasefire. We accompanied displaced people returning to Nabatea, a city that paid a heavy price during the war. There we met Mohammed, busy removing shards of glass from his destroyed pharmacy.
This pharmacy looked just like it does in the photo. After the Israeli enemy's raid on the mosque, it was completely destroyed. On the night of the attack, I wrote, "We started out together, we were struck down together, we returned together, and together we will continue on our path."
Mohammed insisted on taking us on a tour of the city streets, which still bore the scars of the bombings.
The Israeli military has long been deliberately targeting people's livelihoods in order to weaken their capacity for resistance and resilience. All of these places are businesses that were intentionally targeted, here too, a week ago.
On another street, Haidar stands silently gazing at the ruins of his shop.
This is my source of income here in Nabatieh. I just arrived and found it destroyed. I had stocked the store, but as you can see, it's gone.
In the city, relief teams have begun distributing meals to families who have returned, while they wait for essential services to be restored.
Restaurants are closed, as are essential businesses. Residents need food provided to them as they cannot afford to buy it daily. We distribute 500 hot individual meals every day, in addition to bread and water.
Between the joy of returning and the trauma left by the war, the residents of Nabatieh, like those in other towns in southern Lebanon, are turning a new page.
And this brings us to the end of the detail of news at 8 this evening, but we will take a look at the headlines once more.
Headlines brought to you by
Centenary Publishing House, the leading publishers of prayer and hymn books since 1977. Among them we have Ateso, Luo, Runyankole Ruchiga, Runyoro Toro, and many other Ugandan languages. Contact us on 0756 174 168 for more information.
In our weekend edition, President Museveni launches free coffee and fruit seedling program to boost household incomes. Government to distribute free coffee seedlings under new income initiative.
I want to also start a fresh program of giving free seedlings of coffee and fruits. People who get the 1 million may decide to do other things, like we have seen appeal. She didn't go for coffee, she didn't go for fruits, she went for sheep. I didn't even know about sheep myself.
Also tonight, Uganda allocates 1,200 acres in Kayunga for new industrial city. Kayunga Industrial Park project targets 50,000 jobs.
Paul Zhang, the proprietor of Mbale Industrial Park, the gentleman who has created 25,000 jobs. Manufacturing of mobile phones, that make reference to Mr. Paul Zhang. When you talk about manufacturing of butayimbwas, when you are talking about Unisteel, that you talk about Mr. Paul Zhang.
And in international news, southern Lebanon residents return home to devastation after ceasefire.
Brought to you by
Centenary Publishing House, the leading publishers of prayer and hymn books since 1977. Among them we have Ateso, Luo, Runyankole Ruchiga, Runyoro Toro, and many other Ugandan languages. Contact us on 0756 174 168 for more information.
Once again, I do thank you for joining us on today's episode of News at 8 here on the Church of Uganda Family TV, and in a special way, I do thank all the people that have been a part of putting together this bulletin, from the reporters to the editorial team, the production, and certainly the transmission team. My name is Philip Melissa, and I have been with Winnie Buyinza Nakauchi for sign language interpretation. A very good evening, and may the good Lord bless you.